Peace, family. This is Baoku Duduyemi and my wife, Evelyn Duduyemi.
And it is like 4 o'clock in the morning for us. So we're making this recording for y'all. We're sorry we couldn't be there for the celebration, and know that in our sleep we are celebrating with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we've made this recording, or making the recording, like Evelyn said. Some of you know us and some of you do not know us. We are from Atlanta, Georgia. We are currently in Arusha, Tanzania. And we are part of the Ngolo family. We are Aya Educational Institute instructors. We are Aya WHB facilitators as well.
We are co-founders of Kiboli Boy Educational Institute and also of Homemade Joy. And you know what we didn't put on here?
What is that?
We are co-founders of Aya Tanzania.
We are co-founders of Aya Tanzania.
Well, we'll tell you about that in a minute.
That's right.
Oh, do I know how to advance the thing? Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. There we go.
Absolutely. Now, for those of you who are new to Ngolo gardening, or at least arrived more recently, you may not be familiar with us, but we are the creators of the first Ngolo garden, right there in the West End in Atlanta, right next to Malcolm X Park. And we originally created this garden because of our fears about things that were going on in Atlanta at the time, in the United States at the time.
Y'all remember when at the very beginning of the lockdown for COVID, people were like, there's no food in the grocery stores, right? And you remember when people were like, oh, I found tomatoes at the Kroger on such and such, and sharing on Facebook Live and everything. And it was like, is there gonna be food? Well, this is how there can be food. That was one of the fears that we had, right? Is there gonna be food in the grocery stores in the near term? Is there gonna be food in the long term? And so we put this garden in our front yard. This is half of our front yard. And we put it in like 48 hours, right? I was doing the running around, getting the soil and the seedlings and stuff like that. Baoku and the children were at home digging and planting and just doing. I came in when I came from the Lowe's or the Home Depot, whatever. The children, eyes glassy, look, Baoku, did you give me anything to eat? No, no time for lunch. No time to eat. We got to put this garden in.
That's right. That's
right? Let him drink some water, sir. No, we don't need to drink water. We got to get this garden in. So that was the first one.
And it was my fears about having access to food at the time, even access to food at the markets, that evoked my response, to protect myself and my family from not having access to food or the foods that we wanted to have access to. We primarily have a plant-based diet. And so not having access to that food, or having access to food that is increased in price past the points that we want to pay, it was significant for me. And so we took steps to protect ourselves from those things.
We also wanted to support our community, right? In terms of, we grew food for us and also tried to did grow food for others as well, right? So that, we brought food to family members, right? We had plans that if things got worse, that we could grow more and more food. So that if people took some food, because like I said, it's in our front yard, right? If people took some food, then that's all right. I'm glad you ate. Right? We wanted to support our community in that way.
Absolutely. And as part of our supporting that community, we also created Ngolo Gardens out on Facebook, a community of growers. And we put out videos that some were instructional. We hope most were inspirational, such that people could learn how to grow food, become more aware of the need to grow food, and have strategies for protecting themselves and their families during a time that we thought it was most needed.
And I want to say, y'all showed out and continue to in Ngolo Gardens. When I first was making the Facebook, just on making the group, I thought it was going to be I had to be really active in there, super duper active to say a lot and get people involved. And instantly y'all were like, how about this? What do I do about that? I'm growing this. Look at this. What? Okay. I can sit back and learn stuff too. Really, really fantastic. And really, really love what y'all have done since then, right? And the years that have followed since that first year that I was we were really active in there. Just love what y'all have done.
So we as a community have shown what we can do when we follow something that we learned with Aya Education Institute. It's leading by leading ourselves. Be and do the things that you want to inspire other people to do. We showed up and showed out, y'all. And that is what we will continue to do.
So we planted the first Ngolo Gardens. We started the Ngolo Garden Facebook group, and then we moved. We left it. We actually, when we were leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning, it was like loading up stuff, walking through the garden, like, because I said it was in our front yard, like literally like looking at like, I'm not gonna eat this kale. Someone else will though.
That's right. We left kale, we left collards, we left anything that we could, anything and everything we planted for that fall to the person who would take over that space once we left.
And where have we come? Tanzania. This picture, y'all, it's along the roadside. This is quintessential northern Tanzania picture. Just you're driving along, there's some corn. You're driving along, there's some tomatoes. You're driving along, there's some sunflowers. It's just everywhere, people growing food. And that's one of the reasons why we came, right? Out of all the places we could go, one of the reasons why we came here is because of the self-reliance that people have in terms of growing, right? Everybody's growing, everybody's taking on the responsibility of feeding themselves, and we think that's fantastic.
Yes, this self-reliance for families, this self-reliance for schools and other institutions, this self-reliance for the government in Tanzania itself is very apparent. It gives everyone the ability to say yes and the ability to say no when people come asking or / demanding for a response to you in a particular way. It gives you the space to decide whether or not that's something you want to do instead of being coerced. There was an issue here where a neighboring country wanted Tanzania to address some of their rules during the COVID times. And Tanzania responded by saying, well, perhaps I should stop the food that we send to you across the border, and perhaps we can work it out in that way. And the neighboring nation held off. And said,
let's think about this.
Let's think about this for a second.
Let's talk about it.
Because Tanzania does not actually need the food from any other nation surrounding it. It actually takes care of itself. And so that was one of the things that made us consider them as a place to move and eventually choose them as a place to move.
So because of those favorable policies, right, that are a result of, that are because people can say yes and say no, that's part of why we came. And we also came because it's home, right? Because we were like, oh, we should go home.
It is home.
We should go home.
Africa, Nana Clark said that Africa is our center of gravity. It's our cultural and spiritual mother and father. It is our beating heart, no matter where we live on the face of this earth. And coming here, you get to participate in that community, in that culture. You get to add to it. See, there's a goal. And as long as we're all headed toward that goal, we get to interrupt the adaptations that have come from, alien invasions. We get to support the cultural traditions that are still holding the people together and holding the people to the land and keeping us having that self-reliance in this particular community. And we're happy to be a part of it.
So one of the things we did shortly after we arrived was begin to say, how can we be supportive, right? How can we give? What can we do that can be helpful here? And thing that we're working on, the thing that we've been doing, like our biggest thing is Plants Count. And here's some pictures, right, of us, working with the children, working with teachers, growing, eating as part of that Plants Count initiative.
Absolutely. So one of the things we get to do with Plants Count, we get to work with students, we also get to work with teachers. And we get to learn from them as they learn from us. So what you're witnessing here is children being introduced to agriculture once again. Agriculture used to be a common part of the curriculum here in Tanzania. And from what we've been told, it is no longer the case in most institutions. So many of these children learned agriculture from Gumisiriza, who was our primary instructor at this time. And they had not before. And so they learned how to grow food and how to feed themselves with that food. And in turn, they even surprised us. They took that knowledge and they took it to their families. They took that knowledge and they took it to the person who's their current and primary caregiver. they took it to relatives, teaching them how to grow food as well, so they could take care of themselves the way we had taught them, the children, how to take care of themselves and their primary caretakers.
And then one thing I want to add to this is we talked about how everyone's growing food and there's food growing every place, right? And that's true. So the adults are growing food. The children, not so much, right? And if you think about it, I can remember, and Bob can remember, and I'm sure many of you can remember, growing food, right? Or your mother's growing food, your grandmother's growing food. I can remember I had an uncle, I was in Pittsburgh, and an uncle lived like outside, out the city in the country, you know, and he would come in with the tomatoes in the summertime, right? Put a little salt on the tomatoes in the summertime. It was the best thing ever, right? Our children don't, you know, our children's generation, they don't have as much of that experience. Like these things change quickly is what I'm trying to say,
yes,
right? That one generation, something being absolutely 100% just a part of your life. In a generation or two, it can be gone. Just like, where does the tomato come from? I've never seen it not sliced. And one of the things that's happening in Tanzania is that transition we're in the middle of that transition,
yes,
right? Where you can see things being lost, right? Where we talk to people, the agricultural tradition is being lost, the specific plants are being lost. Oh, wait, we used to have a watermelon like this. Wonder what happened to that? I remember that, right? And so that's one of the things that Plants Count does, right? It helps to hope slow, if not interrupt, right? That loss, right? And also bring some of the things back, right? So that we can then grow some of these things that grew 20 years ago, grew 15 years ago, right? That people are forgetting about. And if it's another 15 years, then the next generation won't even remember it all.
right. The plants themselves are an issue, and also the relevance and importance of the land to these young people is an issue. They're being told that they have opportunities outside of the land that can benefit them more in the land. And that usually comes from people alien to this community and alien to their culture, trying to get folks to work in their plants or to work at their companies, and saying, you can just buy food.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Everything will be all right. And as you and I know, that story's been told before.
So we got 6 acres in land, y'all, right here in Arusha, Tanzania, that we're going to use for these initiatives, right? So we'll have our house for sure. And, a couple other places that, y'all come on, y'all can stay, come and visit, right? We get you a volunteer visa through our international NGO that is fully documented and supported by the Tanzanian government. We'll have the Aya Tanzania campus, right? These classrooms where we do Plants Count, right? Where we teach about agriculture and also teach math and science through the doorway of agriculture. And then we'll have, if there's 6 acres, in reality, like 4 of them are going to be growing stuff, right? Because we'll have the shamba, the farm space, but also tree. You all should see this list that Bob has in his phone. Every tree, like every time he's like, "Ooh, that's delicious," he writes it down. It's like how many trees are in that list now?
I added 2 today, so 29.
He added 2 today. I didn't even know about the 2 he added today, y'all. 29 different trees he wants to grow, right? So it's a growing space, and a lot of the trees and stuff and are going to be and already are varieties that are being lost.
Absolutely. And it's important. Many of the varieties that are currently being grown and sold as cash crops are varieties that are being grown to support other people in other lands, people who are alien to our culture and alien to our community. And so what we'd like to do is keep people aware of the nutritional value, the value towards our self-reliance,
the medicinal
value, all the things that were grown locally and that have sustained us for years, and the importance to keep those plants around.
So what are we growing now? We're growing bananas. I'm going to show you a great video about that in a second. We're finna grow maize. And we need to count the number of mango trees. Every time we say the number, we're like, there's 8, there's 10, there's 12, there's 15. How many mango trees are there already?
There are 20.
There's 20?
There are 20. There are 22 different varieties. A green one and one that turns, it's green the whole time and one that ripens.
The one that turns orange,
yeah.
right? So a whole gang of mango trees, mature mango trees, and the mangoes are gonna be ready like any second, right?
Yes, in
some of them,
January.
yeah, some of them are already like almost ready. So those are the main things we're growing. And then also on the land, what do we got?
We have 2 very large cluster fig trees.
Mhm.
One's a little old, but they put thousands of figs out. We have something that Tanzanians call tope tope, that there are different varieties of tope tope. The one we have on the land is sweet sop. If you're from the Caribbean, you might know sweet sop, 2 large sweet sop trees.
Tamarind?
We have tamarind, a very large tamarind tree.
Delicious.
Oh, it's delicious. It's not exactly the sweet tamarind that you may be used to. It's more of a semi-sweet, flavorful variety. It is delicious. And there are a few other things on the land.
Citrus.
Well. Yeah, there's like a tangerine, I think, or something like that on there already.
There's so much stuff, y'all. We haven't even gotten familiar with all of it. All right, so we want to show you this video when it loads up. This is Apareen and Gumizuriza planting the bananas. Is it gonna come?
It will.
There you go. He's walking underneath the mango trees, y'all.
He's headed toward the stream that runs through the property.
Put the head on. Go and find the hole there and the pipe. And take that spot. Fantastic. Then come across. Now, remove all of these radishes. Then we mix. You see? Yeah. Take this banana sap. Put the hot. Take this hot. Take the hot. Put it there. That's right. Where? Like this. Put until form.
I think that's the end. So Gumisiriza is our lead instructor. He studied agriculture and biology. And what he's done along the stream is he's dug holes along with the help of my son, as you can see in the picture. And they have taken the soil and added local manures and mixed it together so they can prepare the area to plant these 80 suckers that we planted along the stream itself.
7 different varieties. Some of them are sweet. Some of them are like cooking bananas. I think plantains. There's this red one. Delicious.
That's right.
And so we're really excited about that.
Absolutely excited.
Ngolo,
Ngolo.
love you, family.